Those who can rise with me. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, to the public
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice.
justice for all. Councilman Williams, you gonna lead us in prayer? I didn't see Pastor Wimberly on there yet.
He's not on it?
No, sir.
Okay.
Someone's having some issues coming in.
Okay, let us pray. Father God, we just thank you one more time for a coming together here in the city of Inkster as the city council. Father, we just thank you for what you've done for us down through the years. And Father, most of all, continue to bind us together with love, unity, and strength. These are my prayers. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. One of our detectives, retired detectives, passed away over the weekend, Charles Hines. So I'd like to have a brief moment of silence for him as we continue to stand. Thank you. Roll call, please, City Clerk.
Mayor Wimberly,
Here.
Councilwoman Wiley,
Present.
Councilwoman Washington,
Present.
Councilman Shaw,
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Here.
Councilman Williams,
Here.
and Councilman Chisholm.
Here.
We have 7 present tonight, Mayor. We do have a quorum.
So moving right along, approval of the agenda.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Been moved and properly supported. Any discussion on tonight's agenda? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Chisholm,
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
We're approving the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Washington,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
and Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Presentation discussion, there is none tonight. Public hearing.
A public hearing to consider an amendment to the Inkster Code of Ordinance, Section 124, marijuana business licenses.
All right, Madam City Clerk, would you like to start us off or would you like Harry to jump in?
For Mr. Harry to jump in. He wrote the ordinance, so.
Oh, okay, do we need to make a motion to open the public
Open the
hearing?
public hearing, yes, sir.
All right.
So move.
Is there a motion?
So move to open public hearing.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Washington,
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
and Councilmember Chisholm.
Yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor, to open the public hearing.
All right, great. So let's just have an overview first. If you said you want Harry to lead us off? City
Yes,
Clerk? Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. This is Harry Kalodrakis, one of the city attorneys working with David Jones at the Allen Brothers. I did do most of the work drafting this ordinance. Really, the intent of this ordinance is just to bring it so that we can treat recreational, or as the state calls them, adult use marijuana establishments the same way that we already treat medical marijuana establishments. This would bring the licensing fee up to the same as the medical marijuana establishments, and also set the rules for what they need to do to apply and what they need to do so that they can have their licenses renewed. Like I said, mostly the whole intent of this is strictly just to treat the adult use establishments the same as we are already treating the medical marijuana.
All right, City Clerk, did you want to add anything to that?
Nope, I think Harry summed it up pretty good. If there's any questions, I might chime in, but I think that's pretty much the extent of it.
All right, any questions from this body?
Yes, Mayor.
Councilwoman Wiley?
Yes. So Harry was responsible for the writing of this this new ordinance, right? And it's just to bring it in line, because I guess now we don't get taxes off medical marijuana. The only thing we get taxes off is recreational, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if this is just to bring it in line, there was not a lot of support the last time we delved into the marijuana situation. So my question is, how are we going to limit or decrease our marijuana footprint in the city? We had a devil of a time passing the 3 licenses we have now, plus the 6 grows that we had. And isn't there some way that we can combine these licenses? For instance, if a person already has a medical, then they qualify for the recreational. Because the way this reads to me is that you can add additional recreational. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is anyone there?
It's just a matter of who you want to chime in. Do you want Harry to chime in, Mayor, or me to chime in?
I want somebody who got the answer to chime in, okay?
I think that is the intent of the ordinance, is to anyone who has a medical marijuana license would qualify to also do for adult use recreational.
Okay, well, I'm just asking because I didn't read that in there. And I think we have to be extremely specific in what we're doing right now where marijuana is concerned.
Yes, the zoning, I believe, and somebody please step in, correct me if you need to. The zoning would be what would determine, I guess, the number of licenses. Is that correct?
This is Harry. Let me chime in a little bit on this. There are no numeric caps on the number of facilities we can have. These are all, any restrictions will be done on the zoning as far as where they can go, how far apart they can be, those sorts of things. And that will create whatever limits that you have, because there's only be so many places that can fit in the city. That those will be natural limits that apply on this.
Okay, well,
And as I said, if you don't mind, as I said, this is to treat the adult use the same as the medical. There are no numeric limits on the medical marijuana facilities right now either. So that was, following that as a model, there are no numeric limits on the adult use either.
well, we as a city confined ours to 3, I thought. Am I incorrect in that? We only have 3 marijuana licenses in the city of Inkster, correct? Medical marijuana?
Yes, she's speaking to the provisionary centers, Harry, I believe. Yes,
I didn't see a limit on that in the existing ordinance.
There is a limit. When we passed our first ordinance, it's 3 dispensaries here.
Okay, I don't know why I missed that. I apologize.
Okay, well, my suggestion to mayor and council is that we continue to limit, to decrease our footprint in the city and only allow those who took the initial risk of the medical marijuana to have access to the recreational. Because as this thing states, it seems like you can't get a state license unless you have a local, and you can't get a local unless you have a state. So how's that work out?
I did read that in the ordinance, Harry, and that's the reason why we're having a public hearing and the first reading in case some things need to be changed. So maybe that language might need to be changed to say something like a pre-qualification, or someone might need to pre-qualify with the state, because you can't get a state license unless you do have a city license. So maybe the wording there might just want to be changed to say something like pre-qualify.
The license ordinance does require, in order to be granted a license by the city, you do need to have a license by the state. You need to have the state license to get the final license from the city.
So that's 3 licenses? I'm just counting here.
Council, of course, can set whatever number they want.
Okay, well, this council thinks we should stick with the 3, and those 3 that were pre-qualified by the state or already have state whatever should be the ones given the recreational. That way we don't increase our marijuana footprint here in the city, because there's still some issues with this. And I think this council should begin to look at capping this stuff, period, so we don't have to go through these things again. Most of the cities who've opted into this have spent months and years deciding how they go about doing this. And I think it's disingenuous for us to be given this in a month or 2 or whatever and decide to make a decision on something that's going to impact the health and safety of the citizens of Inkster, which this document says it's trying to avoid. I mean, we still haven't heard how people are going to get rid of the smell. I get calls from the lady up the street all the time about the guy who's growing it in his backyard, and she smells it all the time. Well, I don't know how to work that out, and I haven't heard where the city has worked that out either.
I got a question.
One second.
So-
Councilwoman Wiley, were you done?
Nope, I'm going on to my next situation. Like you said, the zoning and the distances, is there some sort of plan we have right now that can tell us how many we can actually have in the city based on the zoning and the distancing laws?
That'll be coming forth, and that'll have to go through the planning commission and then to council as it relates to the zoning buffers. You guys already the previous council did that with the cultivating, but they didn't do it as it relates to natural buffers with the cultivating, and said I'm limited cultivating currently and processing. But as it relates to the dispensaries, you said 3 dispensaries, and then you had your buffers that you impose as it relates to 1,000 feet from one another, 1,000 feet from school, 1,000 feet from, churches or whatever else you put into that ordinance. Now, this is actually doing this particular license here. What's happening right now is that those folks that you talked about that's been here with us doing medical, they have, because you opted in, the previous council opted in to the medical or adult use marijuana without putting a business license on the books. They're just operating without a business license currently through the city of Inkster. And they have the right to do that because the previous council, that was the last act that you all did. You actually opted into the adult use marijuana program without a business license. So we're just trying to come in line with the state, and then we'll be bringing forward zoning after this.
No one's denying, because I was a member of that last council, but I'm just saying that it should remain at 3. And
that's it. Of course, you're a council person. You have. That's why you have the floor right now. You can. Well, you're part of the body, so you're speaking as an individual council person as part of the body. So, if you have any more questions, I want to be able to answer.
I have a lot more questions. Okay.
And understand this. This is not just Inkster. This is all over the state of Michigan. This is a fairly new law, so we're all trying to figure it out as we go along.
I'm just trying to minimize the impact on the citizens because, as I stated, I was a member of that group before that, suffered all those whatevers that people didn't want this in their community. They're not thinking financially, they're thinking morally most of the time. So I'd like to address this consumption license. What is that? Someplace you go to smoke?
Correct.
And we have room for that in our city, or is that industrial, or is that, how does that work out?
And that will be coming, and that'll be coming forth with the zoning, because you can zone it and say you only want one, and these are the distances. You only want it in this area or that area. understand, because again, like right now, we don't have anything to govern a person just opening up on Michigan Avenue right now today. And it's happened in the city of Hamtramck, where they didn't opt into the adult use portion, or they didn't deny it, or they didn't say, you know, we were in. They just stayed silent on the subject, and now they have people actually, by right, they're allowed to do it because the voters voted for it. So we're just trying to get some governance in line to be able to control these.
Doesn't every person in the city have the right to grow a certain amount of plants?
Correct. If you're 21
So
and up, you can grow 12 plants.
What would be the purpose, for having a consumption center if everybody can grow their own and smoke at home?
Yeah.
Well, it's just, again, it was just something that the state, again, put into the law that the voters voted for.
Okay, so
That you guys
something we want to
actually
eliminate from this. What is a event planner?
Event planner, you know, and you guys may have to help me out a little bit, Harry and David.
Mayor, let me jump in. Event planner is somebody who wants to have a license to have a one-time activity. You know, in another concept, you know, somebody will have an event down at Cobo or someplace else, and they'll be there for just the weekend, and they'll be doing something. So if somebody wanted to have a trade show type thing based around marijuana at the recreation center, they wanted to have it in there, they would get a one-time license for a limited time like that to go do their little, you know, professional show or whatever else that they were going to do out there.
Has there been a fee scale established for this?
Has there been a what? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
A fee scale established for a event planner or a license amount?
No, there has been no fee set, actually. That's up to council to do. If this ordinance is passed, then by resolution, council can follow up and set the fee. There is a cap on the fees. They have to be not more than $5,000 per license.
Right, and I would say that it would be 5,000 per license. We would go to the top cap we're trying to capture.
Okay, one final question is, if we keep the footprint the same and only have 3 recreational facilities, if council so wishes, there is a application fee and a special land use site plan review that went from $1,800 to $5,000. Now, if they're using that same facility and they've already gone through it once for the medical, would they need to go through it again for the recreational, even though nothing is changing other than their ability to sell a different type of marijuana?
And let me, I totally, you know, I think I hear where you're going with this, and Harry and David, you can jump in, but I think what happens is because it's a special land use and it intensifies the actual use of the facility, then they have to go back through an actual hearing, or, you know, come back through the planning commission, then of course come back through the city council as well for an additional license.
And also, you know, there is a distinction between medical and recreational or adult use marijuana in that somebody can you need to have a medical license card to actually purchase medical marijuana. So there's going to be some segregation in the facility itself. There's going to be, if you will, a medical room and a recreational room, you know, to buy the product. If you don't have a medical license, you can't go into either look at or even look at, not just buy, the medical marijuana. So even though it's under one roof, it's 2 distinct businesses. And so it would be up to you, council, to decide what you want to do with the fees.
Okay, well, just being a person tells me I wouldn't pay to go get a marijuana card and all this other stuff for medical when I can just go buy recreational with my dollar in my hand. But that's just an opinion. I'm through now, Mayor.
Yeah, but you know what, Councilwoman, I think you...
Mayor,
ahead,
I want to say one other thing. One of the reasons that communities do want to have these facilities in their one of the incentives is to get some of the tax money from some of the excise tax that they will collect on recreational sales. And but there's one of the catches in the statute is that a community has to have recreational retail centers, provisioning centers in their community in order to get any of the money in there. So if you want to make sure that if you're doing it for taxes, that you have some recreational retail facilities in your community.
But didn't we say in the beginning that there are no taxes on the medical anymore? You're not getting tax money from the state through the medical?
On the medical.
Correct.
But you need to get the recreational, and the only way they determine whether or not a community is eligible to receive a portion of the taxes that they distribute to communities is whether or not that community has a recreational retail center. If you have, say, just a recreational grow facility only, you will not get any of the tax proceeds.
But the 3 licenses we have right now, those are retail centers, correct?
They're medical.
Yeah, but if they're the only ones allowed to buy the recreation or to take the recreation, then they become eligible, correct?
If they get the license from the state and operate as a recreational.
That is correct. And then the excess tax currently is roughly around $144,000 for each establishment within your community. So that's just something to keep in mind as well as we talk about this. So let's stay in order. Councilwoman Wiley, were you done, ma'am?
For now, yes.
Okay. Councilman Williams, sir, you had the floor.
I just got a couple questions. We talk about now opening up recreational part of marijuana in the neighborhood. How are we going to govern? Okay, if we open up a recreation, we open up a medical dispensary. How are we going to govern the people that's growing it personally in their homes and various things like that? You know.
That's a really good question. And actually, I would actually like to see added to this ordinance an actual catch it for that. So for instance, in the city of Livonia, they didn't necessarily opt into the marijuana program, but because the state of Michigan, the voters voted to allow a person over age to be able to grow 12 plants within their home and then also to possess 2.5 ounces of marijuana on their person. What the city of Livonia did was they implemented a Caregivers Act. So in line with the state of Michigan. So then they would be subject to, say if a person was growing at home, then they would come into the city and get an inspection for their residence or their commercial property, because the Caregivers Act says that a person can grow 12 plants in their home or facility under lock and key. So for us right now, you got people growing all over the place and you can't necessarily control it. By enacting another level to this as it relates to just, for instance, a 12 plant versus a 72 plant person, if they have 5 patients that they're growing for, then, that could be another $5,000 constitutionally that we can charge a person doing up to 72 plants in, say, a commercial building versus their home at home. We would charge them, say, like $500 for the inspection fee to be able to, for our inspectors to come out, see what their setup is, fire to come out, see what the setup is, and then be able to sign off and then have their information on record. But that's something that the city of Livonia is doing. I'll present that paperwork, but I didn't want to present it until I had an opportunity to do that. Councilman Williams, you still have the floor, sir.
That's it. I'll stop right there.
Okay. Councilman Shaw? Did you have a question, sir?
No.
Okay.
I got no question.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions as it relates to this topic right now with the first reading?
Yes, I had stepped away for a minute, so I wasn't sure if we went over if consumption got covered.
Yes, we talked about consumption, and I think, again, and let us be clear, right now we have nothing on the books governing any of the adult use. back last November, the previous city council, the last act that was done was to be able to come into the adult program. So when you acted to go into the adult program, you didn't put any measures in place to govern it. So right now we're just wide open. So a person could literally right now open up a consumption lounge right now today in the city of Inkster without paying an application fee, because the state of Michigan is allowing them to do that. With us as voters, we voted for it to happen. But the city, when we opted into the adult use program without any measures in place. So we need to go to zoning. So planning commission, of course, you're the chair of the planning commission. So we'll be bringing this before you through the administration on how we're looking to actually zone it. So say, for instance, if you didn't want any consumption lounges in the city of Inkster, you wanted one, you would put it in a certain area, and then we would do zoning measures as it relates to 1,000 feet from a church or a school, or, I propose 3,000 feet away from a church or school or another one, so, to be able to allow natural zoning to happen so we won't have to necessarily deal with it as it relates to a council. Once the person applies to, through the city, go through what they need to, of course, get their approval from the state, then it's planning commission, and then it comes to council when, we move forward. So, but it's still more steps to do. This is just like the first reading, so we can kind of bring it before you all, so we can start to try to really cover ourselves, because right now we're really not covered.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Any other questions? Now, this is a public hearing, so this is open to the public to ask any questions, correct?
Yes.
City clerk? All right. So, Councilman Chisholm, if you'd like to do the honors, please, sir.
Yeah, and we do have quite a few people in the room tonight. So if you called in via handset, you would press *9 to raise your hand to be recognized during the public hearing. We did have one hand up. Here it is right now. And also, please state your name for the record once you are unmuted. Again, that's *9 if you wish to speak with regards to the text right now with the ordinance for the business license, marijuana business license. Give me a second. I'm trying to unmute the call. There it goes. Okay.
Hi, this is Yvette Brock. And as a citizen, hi, you guys, how you doing?
Good, ma'am.
I don't want to see any more marijuana dispensaries in the city. We have enough problems in our city already, and this doesn't need to be added. I would like to see them paired with the existing dispensaries that's already out there, and those should be the ones that that we've already set a cap on, and I would like to see the number stayed at 3. I wholeheartedly agree with Councilwoman Watley. I just think it's enough for our small little city that we shouldn't have them. I don't want to be known as, the marijuana capital here. I do agree that we could use some of the revenue, but I think if we had 3, that would be good. And I would also like to see a cap put on these growth facilities also. And that's it. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And unmuting the next one now. Please state your name for the record once you are unmuted.
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, it's a caller, but it's not unmuting them right away. There it goes. It's a delay.
Good evening, City Council of Inkster, Mr. Mayor, and all of our council members. I am sending greetings from Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I'm Scott Dianda, former state representative for the Upper Peninsula in the House of Representatives. I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself. I am the Vice President of Business Development for Tranquility Fields, and Tranquility Fields is a micro business And we are just wanting to say hello and that we're very interested in coming to the community of Inkster. We are a micro business and we're looking for a local owner to have local employment, and we grow, process, and sell in our microbusiness space under the license of the state. So we just wanted to call today and introduce ourselves, and I send blessings down to your city. I know we're all dealing with the COVID, and I hope everybody's staying safe. I'll keep it short. I also have on the line that will make a comment. Ed Santangelo is the owner of our company originally from the city of Detroit. So I wanted to introduce Ed, and another former state representative from Sterling Heights, Representative Henry Yanis, is also on the call listing tonight. So I thank you for your time, your consideration. We send our blessings to your city. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next caller, please, sir.
There you go.
Ed Santangelo at Tranquility Fields. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. As Scott said, I'm CEO of Tranquility Fields, and we do not own any marijuana stores. Our charter is to support social equity and to allow local community members an opportunity to participate in ownership of cannabis stores. And many of you may not know, but to encourage local ownership, state has issued a license type to support social equity called a micro business. To further support social equity and local ownership, the state has waived the need to have a medical license first. So you can actually, a local community member can actually get a license, a recreational license for a micro business without having a medical license first. Again, a person can obtain a recreational license by simply applying directly to the state. And because Inkster is a social equity zone, the state will discount the license fee to further encourage local citizens to participate. And we know of several citizens in your community that would like to have the city give them a chance to own a business so that they can actually sell product instead of just buy product. So our interest is really to support your community. We think this is a great opportunity for your community if you're going to expand at all any new locations. Instead of allowing, for example, an existing store to expand and prevent a local community member to participate, we really would like to see maybe an opportunity for local people to also participate. Again, thank you very much, and I look forward to maybe having further conversations with you.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Chisholm, you have anyone else, sir?
Yep, I'm unmuting now. And like I mentioned, it's a delay, so when I press the button, it takes a moment, I guess, to go through. Try it again.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman Wiley.
Yeah, while we're waiting, is this ordinance listed somewhere where the citizens can go and read it and maybe have questions? It's kind of hard to have questions when you don't know exactly what's said in it. So is this listed somewhere they can go read it?
City Clerk, you want to answer that question?
Yep, it's posted on the website in the packet, and also it was posted in the newspaper that they can get a copy of the ordinance at the city clerk's office, the full ordinance.
Okay, that's good.
The caller that has her hand raised, their last four digits is 1616. I'm pressing unmute on our side. I don't know if they still have their phone muted manually or not, but it's not registering that it's unmuting them. So I'm not sure if they're listening or if they're near their phone, but I am sending a request to unmute you. Okay, there's another hand raised. Let me see if I can unmute them to see if it's a technical issue on our end or what.
Okay.
Nope, it unmuted this person.
All right, good.
Okay. It's Yvette again, Mr. Mayor. The term micro,
I'm
is
sorry.
that the name of something?
I'm sorry, Yvette.
The term.
I'm sorry.
The term micro.
I'm sorry, ma'am. You got to say your name again for everybody else for the record.
Okay. Yvette Brock.
Right. And you said what now? What was your question?
The term micro store. Is that just a term for the little guy having an opportunity, or is that something different they're going to be selling?
No, yeah, exactly. It's exactly what the gentleman was saying. It's another business model for local individuals as it relates to social equity component that the state of Michigan put out and put this in the actual the voting when we voted for the adult use marijuana. You voted to be able to have like a micro brewery type of deal. So you'll be able to. It's only for local people if you set it up that way to be able to again encourage local participation. So you won't have a bunch of outside folks coming into the arena.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Councilman, did you get a chance to get that person unmuted or no? Councilman, I can't hear you now, sir.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna try it again. Give this one a lower hand. Uh-oh, where'd my screen go? Crap. I did it. No, gallery.
Councilman, let me try it from my end. Let me see here.
Okay.
I'm going, is that, that's 313-957-1616, correct?
Yep.
So unmute. It's not happening. Troy, try it from your end. And if we can't get it that way, then we need to move on.
Yeah, I've been attempting several times. No luck on my end.
All right, then. All right, is it any other questions from this body? Hearing none, call to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Moved and supported. Roll call, City Clerk.
Councilmember Washington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
Councilmember Chisholm.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
Yes.
And Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor.
All right, perfect. Consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
Yes.
Councilmember Washington.
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
Councilmember Chisholm.
Yes.
And Councilmember Wiley.
What exactly are we yaying and naying to?
Consent agenda.
Oh, okay, yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor.
All right, perfect. Moving right along, boards and commissions. Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Councilman.
I would like
Councilman Williams.
to be reappointed back to the beautification committee.
You would like to be reappointed. Did you say you would like to be reappointed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just for protocol, do we need someone to actually
Second.
make that motion for you?
Yep. Yes.
Anyone willing to do that?
I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Councilmember George Williams to the beautification committee.
Support.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Washington.
Yes.
Councilmember Chisholm.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
Yes.
And Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor.
All right. Motion carries. Any others? Or
Yes, Mr. Chair. Felicia, I don't know if you got the application. I had a young lady send you an application. She wanted to be a part of the beautification committee. I just don't have her information before me.
Nope, the only one that I have is from Miss Rebecca Daniels, who wanted to be on the planning commission. So whoever else is, I don't have that information.
Okay, yeah, because I forwarded it to you, but I get back with you because we wanted to get her on to that beautification committee.
I'm about to check my emails again, Councilmember Shaw, while you all might want to go on to another appointment, and I'll check my emails again.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. You got anything else, Councilman Shaw?
No, that's all I have, sir.
As Councilman Shaw, was there supposed to be a reappointment?
You got reappointed. You talking about the beautification?
I'm saying the young lady that he's talking about is
new appointment.
Is she a new appointment or reappointment?
New.
No, she's a new appointment.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought it was reappointment.
All right. Any others going around? All right, hearing none, let's move right along. Previous business. Now, let me make sure that I'm on the same page. We have the city planner on the line. Caitlin Hines, can you chime in for me, please?
Yes.
All right, Caitlin. Before we remove this item from the table, did we get clarification on it?
We're talking about the house sale?
Yes.
Yes, so we have to sell it. We can't make a profit off of it, and we received it for $0, so it needs to be sold for $1, basically.
What?
Okay. Now, let me just sort for clarification, David, do we have to open this back up for discussion on the table because it's on the table?
Yes, to discuss it has to be moved from the table.
All right, then let's make a motion. Let's have a motion to remove it from the table, please.
I make a motion that we.
I'm sorry.
All right, there's been a motion, there's been support. Did you catch that, City Clerk?
I did.
All right, perfect. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Watley?
Yes.
And Councilmember Chisholm?
Yes.
We have 6 yeas.
All right, perfect. Item is removed from the table. Let's have an overview first from our city planner, Caitlin Hines, and then we can go into any discussion or questions that we may have. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Okay, so I looked more into the property and why we had the property to begin with. It came to us at the final right of refusal. So we did not pay for the house. We cannot, we are not supposed to make profits off of any house or any structure that we receive through this. We also, all these houses are supposed to go through our NSP program and be offered up to our NSP developers. So it has to be either demolished by the city or purchased for $1 by one of our developers.
Questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilwoman.
She mentioned that this came back to us as first right of, what is that, first right of approval? I mean, what was that?
Refusal.
Okay, now I thought that the only houses that was coming back to us were the houses that had already been sold to whoever the investors were. I didn't know we was getting everything back. That was my understanding, that we only brought back the houses that the investors wanted, and that's how the transaction was going down. So I didn't know that we was getting back everything.
So we only get back the houses that don't get auctioned off after we take what we want. So we get a lot of vacant land back, and we get back some houses, but they're usually the bottom barrel houses, unless it was put on a I think that was the last year that we took houses that would be considered demo houses.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, could I?
Please.
So just on Caitlin's point and to Mayor Pro Tem's question, The right of first refusal, generally the city works with the developers because the city has to take ownership of the property first. So we identify those properties that are available, and we do select the ones that we have some indication the developers want. And so that's the right of first refusal. We get the list of properties that are available. We select those properties, working with the developers. There's some back taxes that are generally paid or required to be paid. Now, what can also happen is the properties that we don't select from the right of first refusal then go on to auction. And Caitlin, this is where I want to make sure I'm stating this correctly. If properties that are not selected at right of first refusal that go to auction, that are not purchased at auction, those then come back to the city of Inkster. And I think, is this one of those properties?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
so
the Wayne County tax foreclosure auction. Let's be clear on that.
Yes. So we sometimes we have properties that we do exercise the right of first refusal, and we can only sell them for what we pay for them. And that's why, there is some money that the city does pay. Generally, it's tied to the back taxes. And in this case, where we didn't exercise the right of first refusal on this property, it went to auction, didn't sell, and essentially it came back to the city without the city having to pay any money. And so that's why there's really not an opportunity for us to sell it for anything more than, a nominal dollar.
Mr. Mayor.
Please, Councilman Williams.
First of all, now I understand last time we had discussion on this house that it was put on demolition list.
Yeah, this is part of this house was actually on the demolition list based off of what
up to the mayor, and I brought up to the mayor about, I'm really want to question the people, a lot of the houses that they have on the demolition list, okay, and how they got on there. Okay.
Yeah, they got on the demo list through our building department. First of all, going through the properties and saying that they weren't structurally sound, and then coming before the demo board, and then the demo board agreeing as well. And then now some of the monies through our community development block grant we're using to tear the structures down that's unsafe and is structurally sound. So this was one of those properties, and working with our former our special projects director, special projects director, Sharday Fleming. One of the last things that she did was presented this particular property that Anthony Rea from Platinum Acquisitions, that's part of the investment program, that he's known for taking properties that are dilapidated and unstructurally sound and then putting them back together and getting them back on a tax roll. Also, too, it's going to cost the city $12,000 to have the structure demolished and abated. So that was a savings that we were going to get from selling the property through this transaction. So we just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to do constitutionally.
So what you're saying right now, all of the houses on the demolition list, if we want to sell them houses, we have to sell them for $1?
If they came to us from first right of refusal, we can't make a profit off of them because we got them for $0.
Okay, what about all these houses that we got on the demolition list that we have already?
It's not as you say, a lot of houses. Have you identified a lot of houses
that's supposed to be on the demolition list? And what I'm saying is, in fact, what about them houses? Can somebody bid on them houses or what?
If they didn't come to a first right of refusal, we didn't get them back from the county, then yeah. So, and it's up to this body too.
So I can be clear, I'm hearing you saying that every house on the demolition list, okay.
I didn't say every house on the demolition list because I don't know if it was part of the first.
It said that all of the demolition houses is on the list. They have to go down through the first right of refusal.
if they came back from the county for first right of refusal. That's what we're talking about. So we don't know. Some of the houses could have been owned by the city, gifted to the city. Who knows? We're going through that now and doing an audit. It was an audit done last year as it relates to the NSP program and what was left over. And a lot of those structures, again, they were vacant properties that we got back from first right of refusals. Those are a lot of vacant lots, and I sent you guys an actual list of that: the city-owned property, county-owned property, and state-owned property. And a lot of those properties were just, again, they were dilapidated to the point where they're unsafe. They're, just a blight and an eyesore to our community.
Mayor, may I add something? This is Attorney Jones.
Yes, sir, please.
I will also work with Caitlin because she is correct that the city cannot sell these homes at a profit. But once we retrieve the property back, there are certain administrative costs and fees that the city incurs with regard to the maintenance, if there's any upkeep, if there's any, and administration costs, if there are any, that I think we will be well within our bounds to charge, above and beyond the dollar. But I will work with the planning department to make sure we're not violating any statutes or laws with regard to that. And that could be discussed in the future this week.
Mr. Mayor, could I
please
just I think Attorney Jones raised an excellent point that just a reminder, with the NSP program, we charge a $1,000 administrative fee for each property, which I think speaks to what the city attorney was raising in terms of costs that we do put onto those properties that are consistent with the regulation that we don't sell the property at a profit. We sell the property for what it costs the city, but then we also do, in the case with the NSP properties, we do charge an administrative fee of flat $1,000 for each property.
But let us be clear that it is properties that the city own that didn't come back from the county, that it's out there like vacant lots that the city's had for years or whatever happened. They didn't come through first right of refusal that we are getting offers on to be able to bring before this body to sell. So like last council meeting, we sold, I think, a couple of lots. So again, when it comes to this, we need to make sure that we're being very careful and we're not making profit. So what's your pleasure as it relates to this? Again, this, the
Mayor?
person that, yes, please, Councilwoman Wiley.
Before we go on, I thought that these properties that the right of first refusal were sold to our NSP, Neighborhood Stabilization people, and they were sold in lots. How did this one happen to end up by itself is my question.
No, this was actually on the demo list. So Caitlin, if you can kind of explain the process again, so we're all on the same page.
So this house came to us. So we had the first right of refusal, and then everything went to the Wayne County auction, and then whatever wasn't sold, that house came with a small list of other not properties, but land and just small little things. It came on a separate list. So that was after the NSP program had ended, the usual NSP program.
Okay, well, this person is obviously, I guess I'm just confused about making a profit, because it's obviously worth it to the buyer if he's offering 4. But if that's our policy, maybe we ought to look into changing that. Okay.
I don't even think it's a policy. I think it's state statute, right, David? Or we can't make money off of this?
That's correct, Mayor. City is in the business of providing services. It can't be in the business of generating profit. So it's state statute that's involved.
The state again, the good old state.
I feel. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so again, this particular person that wanted to buy the property is part of the NSP program. Do we want to say $1,000 and let them have it, or do you want to table this again, go back to them. What's your pleasure? I want to move this item. It's been on the table for 3 weeks now.
I'd like to make a motion that we sell it to them for $1,000.
Support.
And that $1,000 be noted as an administrative cost of the upkeep and various things that we accumulated from that property. Because I know they kept it cut and stuff like that, and I know we didn't ever get any of that money back.
Good, and there is support. Any questions?
Yes.
Question?
There is you said we usually charge this. Are there any other attending fees to this that we charge besides the $1,000? You know, like.
Darren, can you speak to that?
So just generally with the NSP program, we just charge the $1,000 administrative fee, which is designed to capture, all the time and associated costs that the city incurs with, processing those properties and whatnot. So that's the only direct charge that we're assessing.
Good question.
Okay.
What about all the money that we spend over there keeping it clean around there, cutting and stuff, various things that happen to the house? Who's gonna pay that?
Yeah, and that's one of the things. That's one of the major problems that we're facing here in the city of Inkster is that you have absentee landlords or you have property that the city owns, and we're cutting properties and we haven't been billing for those. So I'm working on a policy now within the administration on how that would look as it relates to fees for that, and then bringing it to this body to hopefully have your support to enact something like that, to whether we either put it onto folks' taxes to be able to capture money, or when it's sold, then we say, okay, this is the bills that came along with it to make sure that we cover those costs. So I totally agree with you with that.
Do we know if the city has spent any money on this particular property, such as cutting the grass or anything of that nature up to this point?
To be completely honest, ma'am, no.
Okay.
Well, I do know that we didn't probably cut the grass twice this year for sure, just keeping it down as it relates to nuisance. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, before we...
I'm sorry, sir?
Before we do that, okay, don't we keep a record of every time we cut the grass and various things over there?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I can find out for sure.
And we've been cutting that grass over there. That house been empty for over, how many years?
Oh, I don't know about, let me say that. I don't know about back in the day for sure.
And then if you go, you took it, and then like Sister Wiley said, look it up. You might find out, and I think one while we boarded it up and stuff like that. Do we got our fees on there? We do a lot of that boarding up and cleaning up, but yet we don't put it nowhere. So that's how we lose a lot of money.
Yep, I totally agree. Okay. So what's your pleasure as it relates to this? Do you want to table this item again and then for us to go back and get all that information for you and bring it back? Or do you want to move forward and developer save us $12,000 for demolition that I can actually use on another property while I got the county on the hook?
I'm going to go ahead and sell it before we get it back on the tax rolls. I support.
All right, so roll call, please.
Councilmember Washington.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard. Mayor Pro Tem. Okay. Councilmember. Yes. Councilmember Chisholm.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes, with reservations.
Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
And Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor, we have 6 yeas. All
right, the yeas have it, motion carries. I'm moving right along. Item B, it's up to this body to remove it from the table. No, we've tabled this item, and I know that we're working on some stuff with the state. What's your pleasure?
They're removing from the table consideration and approval of a second reading of the text amendments to the city zoning ordinance pertaining to provisions for adult foster care homes per the recommendation of the Planning Commission. For a list of affected ordinance sections, please see the background information
What's your pleasure? All right. Moving along to item C.
Item C is consideration and approval of the implementation of residential target market analysis, including a commercial target market analysis, with the documentation from the state for the full reimbursement amount of $45,000.
So move.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and properly supported. Before we get off into discussion, I believe we have a few folks on the line. Let's see here. I know some folks are having problems getting in earlier, but if you can raise your hand, if you're here from the state of Michigan, or
I see one.
good, yeah, yep, there you go, perfect. Jump those folks in for me. You can state your name for the record and speak to the.
Eric Klein, Michigan Department of Treasury.
Hey, Eric.
How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. Go ahead. Can you just give us a little bit of background on how this all came together and what we're looking to do?
Yes, this project is sort of a second phase from the residential target market analysis that Treasury helped support that the city undertook. At the same time, the city of Hamtramck undertook a very similar project. They are also undergoing a very similar second phase as well. The idea with a portion of this is to begin to identify the prime parcels that you have available, begin to put marketing material together, attract and identify potential developers that could move forward with some redevelopment projects. And concurrently with that, the project would also do a retail market analysis, which is very similar to the residential analysis, to identify perhaps some prime parcels within the city that could be used for future retail and commercial development. I'm certain if Ms. Woods from Land Use USA or Mr. Sprague from CIB Planning are available on the line, they could give you a much better explanation than I can. But the Department of Treasury is willing to provide full reimbursement to the city for this project. I already have approval from my department to implement that, so we have the full $45,000 available. And then all that would take is the city, if the city moves forward after city council approval, as you're invoiced and pay those invoices, you simply submit those to me and I take care of it, and then money would be returned to the city from the state.
Perfect.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Any questions?
Yes,
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
Okay, it says that the city of Inkster for fee not to exceed $45,000 for the first phase. Now, if there happen to be a second phase, will that be also covered, reimbursed by the state?
Well, I believe the proposal was that the retail market analysis has a cost not to exceed $15,000, and the marketing phase, or the marketing component of this project, has a not to exceed cost of $30,000. If there were some additional services that along the course of the project that the city wanted to undertake, certainly we could discuss to see if there's any available resources that we could use to support that, depending upon the cost. I mean, we have, in a couple of communities we work with, done some additional work as the situation has warranted. I don't know if that would be the case here. It's certainly something we would entertain as far as discussion. At this point, I can't promise anything because, I have my own internal approvals that I have to do to secure funding, but certainly we're always open for further discussion. but I think any additional projects or anything, would probably be identified between city staff and the consultants that would be doing the work.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that if this item has what is approved tonight, make sure we have to put it in there, Mr. Mayor, not to exceed 45,000, because they would have to come back to us if
Correct.
there's any additional costs.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions from the body?
Where is this initial money coming from?
Councilwoman Wiley?
Yes.
Let's go ahead. Darren, if you can answer that question, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I mean, we just will be paying the money out of general fund, expensing it as we normally do with the understanding that we're going to be getting the monies reimbursed, so that there's going to be a net zero cost to the city. We would include that in terms of adding that to the budget, but the zero effect, because we're going to be getting additional revenue in form of the grant from the state just to offset the cost of the expense. We would just be, making that initial payment out of the city's general fund, but the net impact for the city is going to be $0.
That's understandable. I just want to know, because we're already, spending money that I just don't see that we have. So depending on
we're not spending any money.
This is just simply, it's an expense that's being covered by the state. It's simply just a cash flow timing thing. It's really not a major concern from a treasury finance standpoint in regards to administration. We're early into the fiscal year. We've, as Mr. Klein indicated, I think Caitlin indicated last meeting, we've done a prior study already. So we've gone through this process with the state in terms of ordering the study, paying for it, and submitting the information to the state. So it's just purely just a cash flow timing thing that is of very little minimal concern from the administration standpoint.
So we won't be getting one of those first quarter amendments, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
No, I hear you, Councilwoman. I hear you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Cracking a funny there.
No, she was serious, but I heard her.
Okay. But I mean, we would just build it in.
Hold on one second. Thank you, Treasurer. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. May I just interject? Maybe this would help. Usually, when I am invoiced for a project, I can process those invoices within 2 or 3 days after receipt, and it usually takes approximately a month to work its way through our accounting process and for the city to be reimbursed. On the outside, maybe 6 weeks, but the city wouldn't be expending any money after it pays an invoice. You should expect reimbursement, I would say, worst case scenario within 6 weeks after you invoice the state. So it's a fairly short time period and usually doesn't take that long.
Okay. Did we have Sharon on from Lane USA?
Good evening. This is Sharon Woods in Lansing, Michigan.
Hey, Sharon. Tell everybody what we're doing, Sharon. We just want to make sure that we're not doing another project and there's no fruit being bared. And that's why I'm really excited about this particular phase of the project, because this is exactly what we need to be doing. So as it relates to marketing our city and truly developing and working with the state as a partner. So you could from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation, and good evening, everyone and council members. My name is Sharon Woods, and I did complete personally the residential target market analysis last year, which again was funded by the Michigan Department of Treasury. And that housing study measured the market potential for new and rehabbed housing by tenure, price point, and target market, which is a lifestyle cluster. So that work is very valuable and is a resource that you already have. And I think it was received well. And with the second phase of work, what we're really hoping to do is model what CIB planning is currently doing with the city of Hamtramck. What they're doing is they're taking the residential target market analysis and working with Hamtramck on implementation. So it goes far beyond just marketing. It actually, CIB planning and Justin Sprague, who I know is on the phone, will actually take you and your city staff through the process of implementing the residential target market analysis recommendations to result in real projects. That is our goal. That's our hope and our aspiration. And in that process, we also were invited by the Department of Treasury and by you to also add a retail market study. And back when we initially did the housing study, we said, well, if you add on the retail study, we won't, we'll give you a discount for kind of like if you do the retail study at the same time as the housing study, we'll give you a discount on our fees for professional time. That didn't quite happen. But when you came back and asked for the retail study this year, we decided to go ahead and honor that price anyhow, and that bid was $15,000. So the balance of the budget is for CIB planning and Justin Sprague to work directly with you on implementation, and again to hopefully aspiring towards development of real brick and mortar projects and groundbreaking and ribbon cutting. That is our goal, and it could be mixed use. It may be housing and retail. So part of my job this year will be to help measure the market potential for retail for some possible mixed use projects. And that was a little long-winded, but I hope that helps.
No, that really helped. I'm so excited about the next level and the next phase of this, because far too often we will get some things done and then we won't get to the finish line. So I know that this will help us get to the finish line as it relates to making us a redevelopment ready community. So if you could speak to that a little bit, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. So I hope that Justin Sprague is on the line. And if you don't mind, I'd like to pass the baton to Justin and let him talk a little bit about what his firm is going to do. Justin?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I hope you're having a blessed evening so far. Thank you, Justin. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. So, quite a few things to discuss, I suppose. We work hand in hand with Sharon in a lot of communities, as she said, to help with implementation. And we sort of have an overall vision for the process of implementation or planning for development or development planning within the community, in which we sort of look at sort of 5 steps to accomplish building in the ground, with the first being market feasibility. And Sharon is the one that handles the market feasibility. The second on our end is looking at implementation and policy, making sure that your policies align to ensure optimum development results. And as part of that, it's working through the redevelopment ready communities process. Our company, CIB Planning, is actually one of the technical assistance providers through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation for the Redevelopment Ready Communities program. And we specifically specialize in zoning and implementation, community economic development, and community marketing and branding, and tying those aspects together so that the story that you're telling to developers and investors is the right story, and ensuring to them that you have a process in place through your policies, especially your implementation policies, to be a good partner in development with those developers, be it they be large developers and investors or local community investors, such as nonprofits or small home builders within your community. So we want to make sure that those pieces align. The third part of that equation is understanding the financial picture and knowing what is feasible financially, both for a developer to take on, whether that be market rent rates, which Sharon helps with, or purchase price points, which Sharon also helps with, but also are there any gaps in financing that may need to be filled on the construction development side. So for an example, if a builder can redevelop a piece of your property and put a new single family home on that property, and the cost of that construction is $100,000, and they can only sell it for $80,000 because that's what the market will bear, we'll look for creative tools that are out there, such as tax increment finance or brownfield redevelopment or other types of lending opportunities, whether it be a microloan through a community development finance institution or something else that can help cover that gap in that construction cost. So that's the third piece. The fourth piece of the puzzle is the actual marketing of the properties and going out and trying to generate interest and making a great, strong case that Inkster is a good place to not only live, work, and play, but also to invest. And we need to make that case so that those that may be investing in the community have the confidence in the community, knowing that the investment they make will not only pay off for the community itself, but will also pay off for them. And then the fifth and final piece of that is actually construction and getting projects done. So the portion of the scope that we will work on with you will cover those five points as we see it through community implementation and redevelopment. And it is done with a lens on keeping you pointed north as it pertains to receiving your redevelopment ready community certification. And like I said, we are a technical assistance provider to that program. We work closely with Elizabeth King, who is your redevelopment ready representative, and have done a number of projects in the area. We recently are completing a master plan update with the city of Wayne. We recently completed an economic development and marketing strategy with the city of Romulus and a number of other communities in the area. So we're very familiar with the area in which you reside. And as Sharon said, we're also currently doing this work with the city of Hamtramck. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, any questions from the body? Well, good. I just want to say I'm so excited. I mean, even, with us being in the right time, because with the announcement from the state and Ford Motor and Google about the autonomous vehicles coming down Michigan Avenue with the Cavenue Group, I'm really, this is just the right time. So everything is just like a windstorm for development here in the city of Inkster. So I'm ready. So do we have a motion already?
Mr. Chair.
We did? Yes, sir. Question?
Call for the question.
Oh,
call for the question.
All right. Yes, hey. Roll call, please.
This is for a motion to consider the approval of the implementation of the commercial target market analysis with the documentation from the state for full reimbursement of $45,000.
Yes.
So moved.
Moved and properly supported. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Watley?
Yes.
And Councilmember Chisholm? Councilmember, we have 6 yeas, Mayor.
All right, motion carries. Again, I just want to thank the state for taking the time out. Larry and Eric, you guys have really been just totally, just here with us, working directly with me and Darren and our administration and in our treasurer office, connecting to the state. And of course, sharing all the work that you've been doing, working with Caitlin. Caitlin she was silent tonight on this issue, but she's the person that's been keeping us all together and moving in the right direction on the project. And we will be coming back because it's going to take a lot of community participation. We're moving forward, so I'm looking forward to this body working directly with us. So thank you again, Sharon. Thank you again, CIB, and we're looking to move forward quickly. All right.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. All right. First reading, ordinance, second reading.
This is item A is a first reading to consider an amendment to the Inkster Code of Ordinances, section 124. And then we have item B, which is a second reading and approval to consider amendments to amend the City of Inkster Code of Ordinance, being sections 97.001 through 97.999 pertaining to streets and sidewalks and sidewalks.
What's the action required?
It's a second reading and approval, so there needs to be a motion made to approve the second reading.
All right.
And approval of the implementation of the ordinance.
It's been properly moved. Is there support?
Support.
Right, roll call.
Yes, I got a question.
Okay, question. Councilman Williams.
Did we ever clarify the part about the tree between the sidewalk and the streets? Are we clear on that? Because I don't want that to come back and bite this council.
Yeah, so let me say that.
Yes, we did. I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, remember at the last meeting, Member Williams, if the tree that causes an uproot in the sidewalk is between the street and the sidewalk, that's the city's responsibility. But if the tree is on the landowner's property before the sidewalk, that's the owner's responsibility.
But see, we left at that point, but see, that ain't what Bivens said at the last thing.
He deferred to me and I corrected him.
Okay,
correct.
Well, then I'll support it because I was not, because I know over the years that's been a big issue within the city about trees being from the sidewalk to the curb. And matter of fact, I think if you go back real far enough, you'll find out we had a couple cases on that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I just want to make sure that we don't go after the residents about a tree being over there because a lot of times the residents didn't ask for the trees to be planted there, and the city planted them.
Yeah, we did get clarification on that. It is the city's responsibility. I've actually did a ride along with Mr. Bivens and the superintendent, along with Daryl, our crew chief, and we looked at a couple of instances that you're describing as it relates to the tree being in the right of way and it's uproot the sidewalk. It is the city's responsibility. Okay, so I heard there was another person that wanted to speak, Councilwoman Watley. Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilmember Watley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
And Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor.
All right, motion carries. Moving right along. New business.
Item A under new business is consideration and approval to accept a grant award in the amount of $145,218 from the state of Michigan Department of Treasury, Financially Distressed Cities, Villages, and Townships Grant Program for Inkster Police Department Public-Private Video Camera System Program.
Excuse me.
It's been moved and properly supported. Discussion?
So move.
We already did that. Any discussion? We do have Chief AC Ratliff is on the line. AC Ratliff, did you want to speak to this? Oh, I got you.
And two people have done mute at once, so I'll stand down.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
I don't really have a whole lot to say other than that the program was put in place to place cameras throughout the community, throughout the city at intersections and areas that we would be able to monitor should we need to and have recording. And this grant covers half of what the plan was, including the implementation of our command center at the Justice Center in our police department, and will start us off on a number of cameras throughout the community to get us rolling with the project. And we're really excited about it. I think it's going to be a fantastic piece of technology to help us lower crime and keep our communities safer.
All right, thank you, AC Ratliff. Any questions from his body? All right, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard.
Yes.
Councilmember Washington.
Yes.
Councilmember Chisholm.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
And Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
We have 6 yeas, Mayor.
All right, motion carries, moving right along. And I know, Darren, you're working with the state to make sure that we get the paperwork over to them tomorrow so we can start to move forward, correct?
Yes, sir. And we actually just received a letter in connection with that this afternoon. I don't know if you had a chance to reach that, but I've been working with the clerk to make sure we follow up with the resolution, and we're ready to sign the agreement. And Rhonda has that agreement to be signed.
Yes, sir. I did see it. Thank you very much, sir. All right, Councilman Chisholm, if you would, please do your thing. Public participation.
We're at public participation for those callers who have called in tonight. If you wish to speak at this time during public participation, please press *9 from your handset. Do not press any buttons to unmute yourselves. We will unmute you from this side just to hopefully eliminate any technical issues. Again, press *9 on your handset to be recognized. Raise your hand. We will unmute you from this side. And please state your name for the record when you are unmuted, and you have 1 minute to speak. Unmuting the first caller now.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Hello, Council, Mayor, Council. And my name is Kimberly Johnson. And is this the time where we can bring up anything that we want to discuss, or we are just limited to anything in particular?
No, this is the time, ma'am, and you have 1 minute to do so.
Okay, I would like to inquire about this water bill that that then came out. How come the sewage is like $100? What's going on with the water bill?
And just for Mr. Carrington, I think, again, we had talked earlier about this. I know that we definitely will respond back to you. This is the time that we respond back to you at a later date. But I wanted, if Mr. Carrington, can you just speak to that just a little bit?
Sure, I can speak directly to Ms. Johnson's question. The water bills we assess the water bills on a per unit charge. The city adopts rates within each budget to charge a certain amount of money per unit of water that a customer uses. From that, we basically will allocate part of that to water and part of that to sewage. We don't bill separately, or we don't track separately charges for water, charges for sewage. So I think sometimes the way in which we bill can create confusion with the residents, with the customers, because they see a separate charge for sewage and a separate charge for water. We determine based on the meter reading how many units of water that were used. We calculate that based on the unit per unit charge, and then we just allocate that between, again, the water charge and the sewer charge, and that's done on a fixed rate basis. So there's no meter or any kind of measurement that we do for sewage or separately between water and sewer. We just take a look at all of our costs from a financial standpoint, and based on that, we allocate a fixed percentage of the unit per unit charge. Roughly 2/3 of that goes to sewage, and 1/3 goes towards the water. So,
okay.
Ms. Johnson,
Mr. Carrington.
Yes.
Who determines what that unit price is?
So that unit price.
How is that determined?
That unit price is adopted by council during the budget process each year, and that's based on the amount of the kind of the wholesale rate, if you will, the amount that we purchase water from the Regional Water Authority, Great Lakes Water Authority, GLEWA. And take into consideration all the costs that the city's water department incurs in running the water department. And we take those costs, again, because for each unit of water that we get from GLEWA, we have to pay a certain charge for that, coupled with the cost of maintaining the system, the cost of the employees, and all the other costs that are associated with running the water department. That all goes into the calculation for us to determine what is the proposed water rate.
Okay, so in other words, it's the per unit that is calculated for the sewage has something to do with the per unit of the water usage, or are those two separate things, two different charges? Because why do the sewage fluctuate every month?
Well, because the sewage fluctuates based on how many units. It's just like your water, your total bill fluctuates based on how many units. For each unit of water, it's a fixed percentage for what's kind of allocated to sewage and what's allocated to water. That number is going to change based on how many units. But if you're using the same amount of units every month, then that allocation, that the actual number allocated is going to stay the same. So the percentage is the same. What changes is how many units you use. And I can review your water bill, individually with you to kind of, hopefully better explain it. But
and that's what I would ask Mr. Carrington, if we can just follow up with her first thing in the morning.
For sure.
As it relates to that, and then the city will be, we will be working on, because we know we do have some issues with old meters that we're looking at right now replacing. So we will be working on measures and then putting the information out to the public. So I didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Utilize your time, but we'll definitely get back with you on that. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Ms. Johnson. Yes, and I'll follow up with Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am, Mayor Pro Tem.
Before we go forward, being on how we had the first caller, can Darren just say the current charges this month that was passed by council? Because a lot of people may not know that we did pass a budget to increase the water rates. And can Darren just elaborate on how much those charges were?
But let's have him do that during his report. Okay.
Okay.
Let's get through public participation. Okay. Stephen, next person, please.
Hi, this is Cody Corbin. I'm an attorney speaking on behalf of Forever Care Homes in regards to the proposed zoning ordinance amendment regarding adult foster care facilities. I'm just trying to inquire as to why this was tabled again. Last council meeting, you had indicated that you were going to table it for one meeting to see what neighboring jurisdictions were doing, and it was tabled again. So we're just trying to get some indication of how council is going to proceed on this, and if there's anything we can do to be involved in that process.
Okay.
Mayor, if I might, this is David Jones, City Attorney. Mr. Corbett, I can reach out to you later this week if that's possible. It wasn't tabled again. It was not removed from the table. I think that's the correct procedure that it stands now. But I don't think we've spoken before. But if you call me tomorrow, we'll happily discuss this matter with you if that's okay.
Okay, that'd be perfect.
And is your last name spelled Corbett?
Corbin.
Oh, Corbin. Okay, I will call you tomorrow.
Mr. Jones, this is Mark Dickow. Cody Corbin is my associate. You and I have spoken on this.
I did speak with you, Mr. Dickow. Okay, great. I will follow up with you both tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, good. Then moving right along. Councilman Chisholm, you got any more? I see some more hands raised.
I don't know what.
Hello. My name is Charles Blackwell. I was calling in in regards to City Attorney David Jones. City Attorney Jones is dishonest and he's an unethical attorney. And I believe that you all should consider removing him under the city charter. It would take 4 members to remove Attorney Jones. And Attorney Jones is also a lousy basketball referee as well. That's all I want.
Really?
All right, moving right along. I muted that myself, so if I'm gonna get in trouble, then that's on me.
Yeah.
Just letting you know. All right.
If I could just respond to him, if necessary, Judge.
Please.
Just Mr. Mayor, just real briefly. Mr. Blackwell is obviously the person that has sued in violation of the FOIA. We've since discovered, and I won't discuss the litigation in the public forum here, but we have recently discovered that he sued other jurisdictions alleging FOIA violations, more than 2. He claims to be a person who suffered a paraplegia from a drive-by shooting in the city of Detroit. And he clearly has an agenda with regard to racking up attorney's fees. I've never met him. There's no personal relationship between he and I, but I think he's making his living or trying to sustain a living by suing municipalities in and around the city of Detroit. He's got a GoFundMe page up and running where yet he's asking the municipalities to waive any fees required to the numerous FOIA requests that he submits to these municipalities. And what his personal agenda is with the city of Inkster or me, I don't know, but I will address the particular litigation in closed session shortly.
Thank you, sir. Next person, Councilman Chisholm.
Waiting on it to go through.
Sir.
Try it again. I don't know what the delay is or why it's taking so long or why it's not going through. I know one of our callers had to hang up and call back in.
Okay.
How
many more folks you got?
There's 4 more in line. There's one at the very top, 3597. I can't unmute them.
Let's go to the next person then.
Okay. I'm trying 1304. Okay, they're on 1304 is unmuted.
Thank you. My name is Gloria Hamilton. I am the person that has the property at 3041 John Daly. It was in the city council meeting before, and it was tabled. And I'm concerned here because I'm not sure if they're talking about the property that I've purchased in Inkster or some other property, but I want to make sure that the council members, I prepared a packet for you so you could see the type of homes that I have, we're not big, but the homes we do have are of a certain caliber. They're good. You know what I'm saying? One is a state-of-the-art facility, and we have a good reputation in the community. And I didn't want to allay any fears they might have about, you know, like I want to enhance the community. Me and my staff want to enhance the community, and any concerns they might have, I would like to address them.
Thank you, ma'am. And let me say that I am in receipt of those packets. They came into the mayor's office, and those are in council in your mailboxes here at City Hall. So they just came in over the weekend. So I have those.
Yes. Yes. I brought them on Friday. I should have brought them maybe earlier, but I just wanted to see where we are in the process, or if you need anything else from us. Because and thank you, because I did deliver for all the city council members and also for the mayor and for, you know, the planner and treasurer. So I wanted you to see the type of, you can see from the brochure, it's the type, I'm not big. We have 2 group homes, but the 2 group homes we have are of good quality, okay? And as I said, I'm not trying to, I only want to enhance and to the city, and I tried to address the issue about fears of the police being called. That wouldn't happen because we would be a barrier-free medical facility. And also the one about I don't want to mention to you too, this building would be occupied, and there had been a question from one of the city council members before in regards to hiring Inkster people from Inkster. Well, I can tell you from past experience, most of the people will be within a 10-mile radius, a 5-mile radius of the facility. And plus, we can give preferential treatment to residents of Inkster. And I stated that in my letter to you also.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Moving right along, Councilman. Chisholm.
And on to the next one. It jumped on. Again to 3040. Okay, and that one, oh, there it goes.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Mayor, Council. This is Octavia Smith. Glad to hear you guys' voices. Just wanted to say I'm excited for what I just heard on the council. I also want to continue sharing with the mayor and council and the city of Inkster's residents and any other residents that Western Wayne Family Health Center is still continuing to do COVID testing. We have not opened the building up for any of the other programs like Zumba and yoga, but we are doing medical services, dental services. And I'm just looking forward to seeing the city move forward, seeing us implement all the good things that I heard tonight. So I'm excited, and I just want to say thank you, and come on, let's go. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you so much for all the work that Western Wayne Family Health Center continues to do in the community.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Wiley.
Is it possible Ms. Smith could answer a question? I got calls from residents stating that they went up and took the COVID test and they were free, but they've since received a bill and their insurance company has been issued a charge. Now, I spoke with Lisa Rutledge and she said nobody should be receiving a charge for any of the testing done there. Can you confirm that the testing you do for COVID is definitely free?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as we're told as employees, the COVID testing is free of charge for the person who's getting the test. But they do charge the insurance for the test. So the person is not being charged. The insurance is being charged, and insurance pays for the test.
Okay, like I said,
If you can understand what that means.
Yeah, I understand perfectly, but maybe we should get together on this because this person's insurance company was charged, they declined it, and so they billed her, which is the way all insurance goes. You signed it as the guarantor, you know, when you sign paperwork that you will pay whatever is charged that isn't paid by your insurance. So apparently this is happening. Maybe we can get together and figure out how we go about doing this without them incurring any charges. Because when they come up and it says free testing, that's what they're expecting.
Yes, and we do try to make sure we say it's free of charge to the patient or the person who's getting it, because it is the insurance does bill, but the insurance is also supposed to pay for it, the insurance carrier.
Thank you.
It sounds
no problem,
like
but you can always call us and come on up, Miss Sandra.
No,
You can always
I'm taking no
contact us.
chances on it might get paid. No, that's okay.
Or you can send a representative. We don't mind. Thank you.
All right. Moving right along, Councilman Chisholm.
Yeah, this one.
This is Yvette Brock again. I just want to remind the Inkster residents that New Step Community Development will be giving out food boxes on this coming Friday from 11 to 1. It will take place at New Birth Baptist Church. It will all be outside, and we will be following COVID guidelines. That's at 27628 Avondale Street, again from 11 to 1. Also, if your child has signed up for a college care box, they will also be given out at that time from 11 to 1 in the same location. The last thing I have on Dartmouth, on the south side of the street, the second house or second lot off of Beach Daily, there is a massive amount of overgrown trees that are hanging in the street. And if it's nighttime, you could possibly run into another car and not see them on that side of the street. So if someone could take a look at it, I would appreciate it. And I'm very excited about the development, and I hope it comes. And I don't think it will if we have just an inundated amount of marijuana dispensaries around the city. Thank you.
All right, moving right along. No, we're going to make it happen, though. I am.
I'm gonna try and do this other one. I don't know if, or this last one, I should say. I don't know if this caller 3597 muted their phone manually, but we are trying to unmute you. So we're sending that request again. Hopefully it comes through and you're able to speak.
Yep. Still the same thing.
Yep, still the same thing. So I'm not sure. I know we had a glitch earlier with the caller. They had to hang up and call back in. And even though they hung up, their number was still on the screen for a while. So with Zoom, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let's move right along then. Do we have anybody else in public participation?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, and I did see that caller look like they hung up. They may be trying to call back in. So we'll see what happens as we go along. All right, City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, we made it through the election.
Great job. Great job.
We made it through. It was, we were there over 24 hours, and it was just due to the fact of the absentee ballots that came in. I will be meeting with the Election Commission to inquire about the purchase of another tabulator, just seeing as the fact that in the times that we're in right now, I think it would be advantageous to have another tabulator so that the city would be able to have another count board to count the absentee ballots. So I will be looking into that further. I just received some information from the state that they might be sharing in the cost if communities need another tabulator. So I just wanted to let you all know we'll be gearing back up. The ballots will be in by September 19th for the general election, November 3rd, and we will be gearing back up. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I got a question for Felicia.
Please.
With the polling location at the Twin Towers, I know we had to make a pivot on that. What's the update for the general election? What's going to take place with that?
Councilmember Shaw, we're going to make that same pivot for the actual general election as well.
Now, how are the residents or the seniors there are notified by letter, or how they notify that their polling locations are going to be changed?
They will be sent a letter this go round, but the polling location at Twin Towers they were extremely heavily, they were aware, so they voted very heavily absentee for that polling location. They voted extremely heavy absentee coming out of the Twin Towers. So I will send out a letter to them and get the word out to them that their polling location will be at the recreation complex again for the general election.
Now,
and that's everybody in that district.
Now,
yeah.
if any case, them getting out to the recreation center, will there be any type of transportation that may be provided for them?
I'll have to look into that, Council Member Shaw.
Okay, but a letter will be sent out to them,
yes,
just informing them for November.
Yes.
And Felicia, let's take it a step further and make a note of that. So when we meet with the administration tomorrow, we'll see if we can get Denise on the phone and see if we can use transportation support from the Commission on Aging.
Because
they have several vehicles.
Because some folk may not want to do the absentee ballot type of thing because of all the talk. I think we were just talking about that. Mayor Pro Tem was talking about that earlier today. It's a lack of trust and what have you. So we just want to make sure that they have some transportation there that can, get them to their polling location.
Absolutely, sir. And let me just say that we will be getting a lock box that will be provided by Wayne County, and also a lock box that will be provided by the state, where you will be able to drop your actual ballot in this box, and then someone from the clerk's office will pick the ballot up. I just have not decided on the locations yet. I'm thinking that it will be at the City Hall and at the recreation complex, but I just have not, I need to wait until I get the actual boxes to be able to put out any information.
Okay, because that can be in the letter too that you send them, that their polling locations change. Okay, all right. Yes, that's all I have, Mr. Chair. All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments for City Clerk? City Clerk, you got anything else?
No, sir.
What'd you say there, Reverend Williams?
So don't forget to put a box over in District 1.
I'm only allowed so many boxes that we will be receiving, and it might not even be 2, it might just be 1. So I'll have to wait and see how this goes.
You want me to come with my picket signs?
I do.
Okay. And one point that Mayor Pro Tem was making earlier. Now, Mayor Pro Tem is she's the chair for the Elections Commission, correct?
Yes.
So as we're talking about council members possibly getting involved with helping out for the election, you were speaking to that earlier. I didn't mean to cut you guys off. I just wanted to get the meeting started. Is that something that you want to continue that conversation right now?
Yes, if I may.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
The question I was asking Felicia is, can the council person come in and help? Because this election is going to be really, really hard. It's going to be chaos. And we just need all of the council members to come up with some kind of ways where we can help Felicia and help the city run smooth on that night. Now, we're not sure. We have to talk to Felicia and find out what all she needs. But if we can help any kind of way, I'm just asking the other council members if they're willing to help me, help Felicia, so we can get through this process.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think that help is going to be in your district to get people out to vote. The help that we have, people have been trained. They have been, you know, how to admit what they need to do in the polling locations. So that aspect of it has been great. It's more so the absentee aspect of it that I can speak with you about.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, if Denise Champagne needs anybody to drive that bus for the seniors for Twin Towers, I know you're going to be talking to her tomorrow, what have you. I'm willing to serve.
Thank you, sir. All right, City Treasurer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I did want to follow up on Mayor Pro Tem's question about the new water rates that went into effect July 1st. And also, you know, we had an issue with the billing that went out, the July billing that went out the 1st of August or early part of August. The printer was unable to print certain things timely. We wanted to add a couple of things. I think there was a census request that was included along with an explanation of the bill, and just due to their backlog related to COVID, we weren't able to get that done for this bill. So we do want to, we are planning to follow up and provide an explanation, a notice of those rates in the next billing. Hopefully, we got the notice to them. Hopefully, they can get it in the next billing because they're running behind up to 60 days. To Mayor Pro Tem Howard's question, the new water rates that went into effect July 1st are $16.75. That was the rate that was proposed by the administration and approved by council for the current fiscal year. And that's the rate that, again, went into effect as of July 1st. And that's the rate that the citizens and customers would see on the billing that we sent out in August for the July usage.
Mr.
What was that number again?
That number, Councilwoman Wiley, is $16.75.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Shaw, Councilman Shaw.
Sorry, Councilwoman. She's still going?
No, Councilman Shaw, you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Now we made mention about 1630. Now it's 1675 on the water increase. I thought it was in the budget 1630.
I'm looking at the resolution, unless I'm looking at a wrong copy. I apologize. I just pulled up my notes when the question came up. Let me just confirm that I've got the correct resolution here, because I'm reading right off of the budget resolution. I apologize for that.
When we went through the budget, it was supposed to be by 1630. Now I never seen no 1675 in the budget documents.
Was 1675, and no, that was the number that was in what was presented to council. Because I've got a PowerPoint that was presented to council that had that rate. But I'm going to pull up the resolution that was.
And while you're looking for that, you made mention about the water bills, because the water bill should be explaining something on the back of them to the residents, what the rates are moving to and from. Now, what we have on there now is I think 1545, and that's not correct.
Yes, and that's what I was speaking to, Councilman Shaw. we requested a change with the printer, and due to a backlog, they couldn't get that update that we requested. Normally we get in certain requests by a certain deadline. They've got an abnormally large backlog, and we're unable to process that request, along with we had a request to include some information for the census, and they couldn't meet that request. So that's why the bills had not gotten updated as we had requested, and still reflect the older amount. And I'm looking at the resolution. It is 1675, and that's I'm looking at the certified resolution, and that was the number. I also referenced a PowerPoint that was presented during the budget, and that also had a number of $16.75.
Yeah, no, that wasn't what we was presented with myself.
Well, I don't. There's nothing I have that.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I mean, I've been around this block before, so I know. It does that.
Well, I'd welcome you to provide me anything in writing that I or my office gave that had that number that you referred to, so I can get that cleared up for you for sure.
Yeah, I want to see that too. So we can all be on the same page, because know that this is my administration, and I take that very seriously as we talk about numbers being presented and then something else not happening. So, Councilman Shaw, if you have that documentation or something that you're reading from right now, please share that.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna meet with you, and that's what we looked at when we talked about this throughout our budget hearings, that it was going to be 1630. It wasn't going to be no. So we hear nothing about no 1675. Now I can be wrong, but I'm sure I would remember 1675. But
you said you got it in writing, so let's meet and talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. All
right, perfect.
Now
the buck stops with me. So
yeah, I know. Now under this treasury comment, the tax bills. Now, are the tax bills in the same situation with the printer? They are not going out, and because I'm getting people who are not getting their tax bills.
So Councilman Shaw and to the other council members, the tax bills were completed by the printer. I think any delays I would put that onto issues related to the post office, because I know for the last several weeks, people have been getting their tax bills. Some got them several weeks ago. Some have been getting them, going back into July. Some got them on at a later date. So those tax bills were prepared and did get out. Again, it may have taken a little bit longer with the printer, but they did get out several weeks ago. Any delays, I think, would be, again, attributable to the post office, because people have normally the bills are received in a much tighter window. Generally, people get them within a certain number of days. This year, they've been spread out over a much longer period of time, and that is not on the printer. We send them, we send them in one complete file to the printer. They print them up and send them out. So again, I think any issues I would expect that would be attributable to issues related to the post office.
Now, when you say the post office, now I haven't. Matter of fact, I'll use myself as an example. I haven't got my tax bill. So now, if it's overdue or if it's past due, there's a penalty that the city impose. Now, what if I was to say, okay, now that you saying that it's the post office fault, now I can say, well, since I didn't get my tax bill in time, it's the post office fault. Will the city, forfeit those penalties because it's the post office fault?
Yeah, well, the cities on the tax bill and the notice that we provide, that regardless of whether or not an individual receives a copy of the tax bill, they're still liable for the tax bills. That's why we do publish a notice that the taxes are due and payable, and the dates, and that information is presented well before the deadline, so that we aren't held strictly liable if someone does not get their tax bill for whatever reason. We make every effort to provide them that information. We print those up, we mail those out. But if for whatever reason they do not get that, that does not at all alter the property owners, their liability and the due date for that property tax payment.
Now, we like I said before, I didn't get my own tax bill. Now, even if I'm looking on the city's website, do you have to register to get your tax information? Because, you can't even do it on the website. I thought on the website, at least someone can go in and look at it and say, okay, well, this is what I owe, even without dealing with the snail mail.
You can get that information without registering. You can, it's generally considered to be public information, and it is available on the city's website. Doesn't require any type of registration or anything of that sort.
Okay, I'm not going to belabor, but I'm gonna do a sidebar with you on tomorrow to show you how the website is doing.
Appreciate that.
That's all I
definitely want to know if we're having any issues. Thank you. Any other questions for the treasurer?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Wiley?
Just to corroborate Councilman Shaw, although I'm sure he doesn't need it, I'm still not in receipt of my tax bill either. But I did go on the website and I put my address in. But because I have 3 lots, it did not include the full amount of my taxes. You have to put each individual property tax number in there to get your correct amount. So if you live on a property, but you have a lot next to it that you own too, you have to know that because like I said, I had 3 lots, so I was missing 2 bills when I put in my address. So it's kind of tricky, which is why it's important to either contact, the city and make sure you get your correct amount so you can write that on your tax bill and your check when you send it in, so they'll credit the proper amount to the proper tax ID number.
Yeah,
I don't know if that helps or confuses.
To Councilwoman Watley's point, and I know she did reach out to me. The number that controls for property taxes is the parcel number. Oftentimes, that parcel number is tied to a particular street address, but we do have certain situations if there's a lot or something like that where it may not be tied to a specific street address. And that was kind of the situation with Councilmember Watley. She had a parcel that was tied to a street address, but then there were also 2 adjacent parcels that were not tied to that street address that she needed to have the exact parcel number in order to pull that information up.
All right. Any other questions or comments for the treasurer? All right, moving right along. Councilman Chisholm, anything for us?
Yes, I had just one thing or 2 things. I went up to the Capitol today because I had to do some work in the House of Business, and just going through that whole process with COVID and the policy. I remember at one particular time in the past, it was asked and it was confirmed that we had submitted ours to the state of Michigan. So I'm just wondering where the status of that was, because we hadn't voted on it yet to adopt it as a municipality.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so we're actually, the HR director was supposed to have that on for us this week, but she was on vacation. So we'll have that first in September before you.
All right. Is it
the adoption of the policy?
Was there trying to remember if there was a deadline or anything with the state, or how does that go since we're not there yet?
I'll follow up with my state representative on that.
Okie dokie. And then as far as the census, I had the opportunity to participate in one of the motorcades. It was very fun, informative. A lot of people were reaching out on Facebook, letting us know that they saw us. A lot more people this time took heed to what the sign said and read and things of that nature, realized it was the census. I did have a couple people say, oh, hey, let me fill mine out now. I'm one of those people who haven't done it yet. So yeah, I'm not trying to take Mrs. Barr's shine, but I just wanted to encourage everyone to fill out your census as well. be counted. And that's all I have.
All right, sir. Ms. Councilwoman Washington?
I don't have anything at this time.
All right, ma'am. Councilman Shaw?
Yes, you know, Mr. Mayor, I like to want to say thanks to the administration for the monthly reports. Now, this is something that we used to get when I was on council, and I think it's very, very important, very, very informative of what's going on and how things are working in the administration. So I want to thank the administration for getting those monthly reports. Now, are we going to expect to have these on a monthly basis, or how is the administration going to work with that?
Yes, sir, a monthly basis. So we're looking to at least have them to you by the first meeting of each month, but we know how sometimes that's set off with the date from the end meeting to the first meeting. So we want to give you at least a 30-day report how we capture them. So you'll probably see the next report in the second meeting in September until we get it on a roll. But we will be giving you a monthly report in 30 to 45-day increments.
And it's very good because these are things that we need to know as far as a council body, things that, you know, may change within the administration, just like even in the city clerk's office, you know, even dog license have been moved to the police department instead of to the clerk's office. I get people who call me for dog license, and now I can inform them that, hey, it's now over at the police department. So it's very good to have these monthly reports for council. Now, also what I'm looking for is the budget to actuals. We haven't gotten any budget to actuals since we passed the budget. So I don't know if there's a lag of 1 month or 2 months for those budget to actuals to be reported to the council.
Mr. Treasurer?
Yeah, so the last reports that we had would have been for May. Those numbers were presented during the budget deliberations. You know, June is the end of the fiscal year, and so we're having to do all the year-end adjusting entries. That information obviously will be coming later. With the start of the new fiscal year, we're into the month of August, and we'll be having the July, the first month report for you later this week.
Okay. And also to the administration, police patrol in the northeast section, mostly on Harrison and Glenwood. And also I have a property at 1212 Colonial Street. There must have been a set out there, but the trash is everywhere. You know, once they set these people out, or if these people move, it should be something there. I remember years ago when you was on council, Mr. Mayor, when Courtney Owens was talking about those set out boxes. Something needs to be really looked at concerning that, because trash would be everywhere and all down the street. That's at 1212 Colonial.
Yes, sir. We do have an ordinance. The ordinance is still on the books from that time. So we didn't, we just haven't been really following up with it, and we haven't had the manpower to be able to tackle it. So we do have the manpower now, and we are in the process of sending out citations as it relates to our ordinance. And when you do a set up, that's in Inkster housing and our residents as well. You have to have a box or container to put the person's belongings into. They shouldn't just be set out on the curb. So we're going through. If we have to clean them up, if GFL, they get as much as they can. If we have to clean them up, then we're sending our crews out to clean them up. So I did take note of 1212 Colonial. We'll be on that first thing in the morning.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Thank you.
All right, sir. Councilman Williams.
No comment.
All right, Councilwoman Wiley.
Yes, I do have several things. First of all, I would like to suggest to the council that we may want to reinstitute some sort of orientation, simply because we're voting on things that the citizens haven't had an opportunity to weigh in on. And that's what orientation used to be for, so we could get a sort of a feel of how they were concerned about issues and things of that nature. So that's just a suggestion that we may want to reinstitute orientation. The second thing is about I sent to my colleagues today a packet involving a risk management proposal that I submitted to the mayor and the clerk last week, the 10th, and asked for council, it was a request for council action. What I got was a mayor's opinion, and that's not the same thing, because my request is for council to look at a proposal and report back. If you never get to see that report, that proposal, by it not being placed on the agenda, then you don't know what it's about. And the mayor can't just arbitrarily decide that it's something we don't want, because technically the council is who sets up these things and makes them viable. I asked maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, when this administration first started, for our policy on putting things on the agenda. It was during the time when the building commission, the building department was asking to be let out of their contract. And I wanted to discuss it, but was told I couldn't because this is the mayor's agenda. Well, I sent off to the Michigan Municipal League and got an opinion on who sets the council. And I would like to read their response at this time. It says, placing items on the agenda is determined by the charter, ordinances, or city council rules in each city, which means we make the agenda. The mayor may sign it but he isn't the only one that can put things on the agenda. So, and also our charter speaks to the fact that we put things on the agenda. So I would like us to maybe get together and figure out some sort of policy where we can have our information put on the agenda when we need it put on the agenda. Because if the mayor is the only one deciding what gets on the agenda, then it becomes dictatorial as opposed to working together as a government institution. Okay, there's another situation, and like I said, I sent each of you the risk management package. I would like you to go over it and give me your feedback on it, because it's something we haven't had in the city for a very long time, and it's something that's definitely needed right through and now, as the attorney has mentioned in the past, and a couple of other people. So it's something that you can read about, because the gentleman who's interested in doing this is a risk management professional, and he has offered his services for free. Now, apparently our insurers have some issue with that, but I don't see anything wrong with two sets of ideas or two streams of information. So that's the other thing. Another thing is the council, as I stated, has its authority to do this, and it tells you in different sections, if you want me to read those to you. I know you don't want me to belabor things, but it's in there. It tells you that you are in charge, okay? The mayor runs the day-to-day operations, period. You are in charge. So, and then there's another section in here that I thought you all would be aware of. When I speak of transparency and how there isn't any here, in the section of the charter where it says administrative service, it says the mayor shall confer with the council prior to hires and terminations. That has not happened. We've lost people. We're sitting here with our heads in the air going, what happened? Where'd they go? They moved on. So those are some issues I'd like us to take under consideration, because we have to start being better stewards to the residents, because it can't just be one person's idea on how things go. This is a democracy, not a dictatorship. And that's all I have.
All right, good. Then just to speak to the issue as it relates to the risk management packet that you sent, I don't have a problem with putting it on the agenda. Let's be clear that I said it in my email that we wanted to get our attorney involved just to be able to look at what we were doing, because we do have an insurance agent and broker that has been working with us for over 2 years now, where we haven't utilized the service of the risk management position within the brokerage firm. So I did pass along that information as well. I don't have a problem with putting anything on the agenda that the council is asking us to put on the agenda. At the same time, we won't put anything on the agenda arbitrarily as it relates to us making sure that it's something that we can actually move forward with versus just putting things on the agenda. Now, I know that also too, that you could call a special meeting with another council person, and you can put whatever you want on that particular agenda to talk about. I would say that as far as talking about orientation, orientation is fine, but I think that maybe we need to have MML come before us, or even maybe have MML come before us to do a training as it relates to us working together as a council. I'm looking forward to working with you, not against you. If you're bringing good ideas to help us make sure that we're keeping the city on the right track and giving quality service to our people, let's do that. But just saying that, that I'm not, that I took upon myself to say that we're not putting on that agenda is false. I didn't say that. I put it in writing what I thought as it relates to us getting our attorney involved, as it relates to us establishing a risk management commission. So let's be clear with that moving forward.
But as long as we're being clear, then.
Yes.
The information you sent back did not reference any opinion of the attorney. And when we put things on council, it's just for that particular discussion, that exchange of ideas. Now, this risk management, our insurers were included in this risk management proposal. But for some strange reason, they have never given us any risk management information in the 2 years, like you said, they've been here.
Exactly.
So in us taking it upon ourselves to write this up, we want to do what's ever best for the city.
That's
it doesn't matter who does it.
I would hope so.
This gentleman
hope so.
offered, I'm through, I'm not through yet. This gentleman offered his services for free, and he is a risk management professional. I don't see the problem in looking at allowing him. His first thing was going to be an entire assessment of the city as far as where our risk lies.
Yeah, I would like to know who this gentleman is. I mean, and what we're talking about with that as it relates to me running the day-to-day operation of the administration. So,
continue?
Well, yeah, I mean, you cut me off after when I was speaking.
Well, I thought you were better than that. But anyway,
I am.
Here we go with the need for something and people not being able to work together, because that's what I thought we were supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And I don't see that happening because, like I said, when you arbitrarily decide things for the entire city,
I did not do that. That's what I'm trying to say. I did not do that. For you to keep saying that, I didn't do that.
Inventing that particular premise.
No, I'm not going to keep allowing you to just say what I'm doing.
Or exchange words, because you know and I know what's been going on in this city, and it's not for the betterment of the community.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I would say that before. Yeah, now it is, since I'm in here. You have anything else to say?
Oh, probably a lot, but I can see the tenor has changed.
Okay, well, good then. Let's move right along. Mayor Pro Tem Howard, do you have anything for us?
No, I don't have anything.
All right. So it's been echoed already as it relates to our census and the census parade. We have a couple of more coming here in the next couple of weeks. So we want to make sure that we're participating. One of the things that I did ask Mrs. Barch to do was to make sure in those areas that we have in those routes that we go out before time and maybe even put out some signs saying that that'll be the census route. Because a lot of people were asking, like, what are we doing? You got the police sirens, you got the emergency sirens going with the fire trucks. So for us to make sure that we're all, knowing what's going on versus just riding through the neighborhood, I think that'll be a good point, because I think it it really makes sense to do it. We just want to make sure that we're at least getting out ahead, letting people know that we're doing a parade type of deal within those areas that we're routing through. And I'm glad that I'm just making sure that everybody received the monthly reports, because I know that sometimes some people say that they don't receive something from the administration. I'm glad that Councilman Shaw said he received his. So when I send out the monthly report via email or any correspondence via email, please respond back letting me know that you received it. Other than that, I think we have a closed session item. David, are you there?
Yes, we do.
Okay, then. Motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
For what? We're going to closed session?
Litigation.
For litigation. All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
And Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
Mayor, we have 6 yays.
All right. All right, guys, we're going into closed session. You can stick around here. We're going to go into a private room and we'll be right back out. Okay. All right, call for adjournment.
We'll move.
Support.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Everyone have a good evening.
Two.